For those of you who've never used Doxbin, there's a special tab on the site dedicated to those who've tried to go against the Doxbin community. It's called the Hall of HOA, and it holds the doxes and stories of people that even the most toxic community on the internet didn't want. So yeah, today we'll be looking at the dox of a former owner of the website. Basically, in November of 2021, the site was sold by the then current owner known as KT. 3 months after the sale, he and the beer had a falling out due to the site being ruined. This argument ended with KT buying the site back for around 20% of what he sold it for. After the incident, our protagonist ended up losing almost 300 bitcoins, roughly $14 million in stolen SIM swapper funds. Not only that, he was also arrested for his various misdemeanors and is still facing trial. Now, obviously, a lot of details are missing here, but we'll get into that in a moment. For now, let me introduce you to Arian Kurtage, a.k.a. White. He originally started his internet presence obsessed with Minecraft servers and fantasizing about being the next big hacker. He later became friends with Miku and other young people, forming a group called Infinity Recursions in early 2021. He's currently involved with a newly formed ransomware group called Lapsus Dollar, which specializes in spear phishing and SIM swapping. It was actually his involvement in this group that led to him being arrested by UK authorities. He's currently being charged with 2 counts of breaching bail conditions, to which he pleaded guilty, and 2 counts of computer misuse, to which he pleaded not guilty. He's currently being held in a youth detention center. Anyway, Arian slowly began making money to further expand his exploit collection. After a few years, his net worth had grown to over 300 bitcoins again, about $14 million. Of course, things didn't always go according to plan. He gambled a ton of it to impress like-minded idiots. The rest was then left in an open RDP remote desktop protocol, which was compromised twice. Now, I need to reveal something that might shock you. Arian was 16 years old when this happened. He still lived with his parents and loved fishing with his uncle. His family had no idea about his huge net worth. He also has the mental capacity of an 8-year-old with severe autism. That's not a joke. Anyway, let's get into the sale. Doxbin was briefly owned by White when he bought it from KT in November 2021, but in just 3 months, he completely destroyed any reputation the site had, along with breaking many of the features that had made Doxbin great. You see, White was never an attentive admin. He completely neglected the site. Longtime members of the community started harassing him. Eventually, White gave in, and KT managed to buy the site back at an 80% discount. After the deal, White realized he had made a big mistake letting go of the site so easily. He tried to lock the registrar account and steal the Discord vanity URL in an attempt to get back at KT. This ultimately failed, as KT and others managed to recover the vanity within 2 hours. White then publicly advertised a $100,000 bounty for KT's dox on the main Doxbin Twitter. But not even 5 hours later, KT regained access to the Twitter account and began mocking White's terrible OPSEC and InfoSec skills. However, KT didn't have the ability to change the email or password on the account, so the only option was to forcefully suspend it. After that, White dropped the entire Doxbin database, which cost the platform about $75,000. Good job, I guess. This prompted KT and a few more members of Vile to release one of the most thorough dox documents in the history of the entire site. Just 2 days later, people started knocking. When they pulled up to Mr. White's mother's house, she was approached by some very polite gentlemen who asked if Arian was home. When they found out he wasn't, they made their way 20 minutes down the road to his father's house only to find a police vehicle already there. Lately, White has been pretty quiet. He was arrested in 2021 in relation to Lapsus Dollar, but was later released while the investigation continued. Over the next few months, he didn't slow down his hacking activities. He was confirmed to have been raided again on the morning of April 1, 2022, and appeared in court that same day. He was released the next day and given a 1-month internet suspension. Since then, he's continued to run rampant across the internet. He breached Uber, though he got practically no user data in. It was also behind the leak of the GTA 6 source code and videos under the alias Teapot or Teapot Hacker. Then again, on the evening of September 22, 2022, the City of London police arrested a 17-year-old in Oxfordshire on suspicion of hacking. That was, of course, Arian. He's still facing the same charges to counts of breaching bail guilty, and to counts of computer misuse not guilty, and is still being held in a youth detention center, according to the last update on the docs. I think that's where our story ends, but before I leave you, here's a quote from KT himself, taken from the docs. People often speak on Arian like he's a criminal mastermind, like he's the best hacker to ever live. Arian was practically nothing. His $14 million was lost due to his DP being compromised twice and gambling it all away. He had no brain cells, his OPSEC was obsolete, and his friends used him as a mule. Take admiration from people who do the deed and are still free to tell the tale. Peace!